So today, the focus in this room is all about mobile. There's kind of a perfect storm going on in mobile right now with the adoption of the iPhone, with the explosion of tablet ownership. One of these days, I would hope that Android might get their act together, and that'll be awesome. APIs that allow you to do in-game or in-app purchases, and so the rise of freemium monetization models in mobile. A lot going on in mobile, and it's a really exciting space. So I thought we'd kick off mobile this morning with Ville HEIJARI, VP of Brand Management for a little company called Rovio. They made this game. You may have heard of it. I don't know. Has anybody in here played this? In any case, the title of the presentation is Where's the Weirdest Place You've Played Angry Birds? And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, and let's kick off the day.
Thank you. Nice to see so many of you here at this early hour. The party last night was great, and it probably explains why this room looks like a level from Plants vs. Zombies right now. So, anyway, what's the weirdest place you played Angry Birds in? This is something we asked our fans on our Facebook fan community, and it really occurred to us from the thousands of replies that we got that people really do play the game in the weirdest of places. So we're back when we were starting development, we founded Rovio was founded in 2003. There really weren't there weren't any rules in mobile game development. So we were looking at just the mobile context and what can we do in mobile gaming. So in 2003, the market was very different. We were looking at the audience as the core gaming audience. So people who play video games now have mobile devices. They have a platform where they can play games on the go. So for a long time, number of years, Rovio was developing like hardcore titles, survival horror, racing games, shooters, so on. So hardcore games for the core gaming audience on mobile devices. And as we all know, the platforms, there wasn't like a unified platform. It wasn't like really refined at all. So what you had was Java development for 150, 200 different mobile phones, and basically you were like porting games like hell. You were testing your titles on dozens and dozens of devices, and what was more of a challenge, you didn't have a pipeline, you didn't have any connection to the end customer. So you were reliant on device manufacturers, operators when distributing your games. Even the customers had a hard time finding your games. Like you were advertising them all over the place, putting a lot of money in advertising, but people still had like no clear way of where to find like the latest mobile games. Will they work on my device? How will I buy them? How will I purchase them? So we had a good run in the Java development though. Rovio was like started by 3 guys back in 2003 and ended up with about 60 employees around the peak time in 2006, 2007. But after that, the market was dwindling. There wasn't a lot of profit in developing those Java games. And of course, people were like, the limits of the new mobile platforms were obvious and the flaws. So the core gaming approach was the wrong one at the time. So we were starting to think like, what do we do in the mobile? And we turn into casual games. Of course, that kind of like change in the whole mindset and the development philosophy doesn't happen overnight. So there was a lot of trouble, and the company went to around 12 people in 2008, 2009. And in 2009, iPhone had been out for 2 years. So it was one unified marketplace, one device, one platform, end-to-end like service for putting your game out there and reaching the consumer. So we decided to create one strong casual game and focus on the characters, focus on the brand, try to make it successful. And it took 8 months to develop Angry Birds. It cost about 100,000 euros. Usually at the time, for a typical Rovio project, the budget and time was about half of that. So maybe 4 months and around 40,000, 50,000 euros. So it was a big undertaking for us. But we were really like wanted to take it through, because from early on, like from the first concept sketches, we had the birds there, and even though the first game concepts were very different from what Angry Birds is today, everybody at the studio was looking at the character sketches, like, what are these guys? We really want to do something around these. So it started to evolve around the characters, and we really polished the game so that the end product was fun to play, was engaging. Actually, why it took so long to develop was that for a number of times when the game was being tested, the guys at the studio were actually spending like days and days just playing the game because they were having too much fun with it. So now that the game is out there, we're aiming for the maximum reach. So that's part of our brand strategy, and not just a game and marketing strategy. So you may have heard like Peter Westerbacka from Rovio previously, like painting a bold picture of reaching like 1 billion people. But what does it then like mean to have like an audience of 1 billion people? I mean, you can have different types of reach. You can have a massive reach of people who have heard of your game, heard of your brand, heard of your product, and are discussing about it. Then you have the tier where people are actually spending money on your products. Then you have maybe the more important part of the people, so the people who are engaged with your product, that are actually spending time with it and have your product has their full attention and engagement. And then of course you have the core fans, people who love your title, love your brand, love your characters, love your game. These are the people who will recommend your game and preach about it to other people, like how awesome it is. And that's like where the biggest brand value is. So of course we want to see 1 billion people here at the core. That's not going to happen probably anytime soon. But the more we can move people from the outer tiers of the reach towards the core of becoming a fans, that's our challenge and our biggest mission. So we're of course, like, the topic of the day is mobile. But what do you do? Like, how do you reach the people in the mobile? We have taken the strategy of branching out and going everywhere, going on every screen, not just mobile. That we're big in mobile, we have the opportunity of reaching bigger audiences on all screens and with different products and on different markets. So that will also give us a bigger reach and bring back people to the mobile channel. So, for example, when the game was selling well in 2010, we were taking planning to bring on merchandise and plush toys, T-shirts, all kinds of products. Now we recently had our first print publication out, an Angry Birds cookbook, and are planning also more on that side. So that will also like come back to the digital in the form of e-books and apps and so on. So then we're also planning on creating animation. So that will be like short form animation, animated series, possibly a movie sometime further down the road. And then of course, like in-app purchases, like we have the Mighty Eagle in the game. We want to create like new experiences there, new monetization. And then, for example, Google Chrome. We have had the game out for free for our fans on Google Chrome for 6 months now. So no monetization, just driving traffic to our merchandise store with some conversion, but basically getting a massive reach on markets where people don't have smartphones, where people don't spend money or don't have an app store or can't even get the mobile game. They have the game available on Google Chrome through browser for free, so that's like tens of millions of new users on new markets entirely. And regarding, let me take you back there for a second. And then I forgot about the promotions. So we had a big promotion with Angry Birds Rio, collaboration with 20th Century Fox. So that was something where we had a joint promotion, co-created the game with 20th Century Fox, their Rio movie property and our Angry Birds property, and we sort of had access to their movie promotion machine and budgets, and they had a lot of publicity for the upcoming movie through our game. So, and then with Nokia, for example, we've been doing these Angry Birds Championships competitions, where people actually sign up to play Angry Birds head-to-head, and they have like they have qualifiers and then semifinals and finals and a big tournament, and they win prizes and devices and so on. So both of these stem from like the two classic things that you want to foster as a company and as a developer. One is networking. Never be afraid to like network outside your business and your comfort zone. Like network with people from the film industry and from entertainment, wherever, because that will bring big opportunities down the line. And second is like with Nokia, we have been working with from the beginning of when the company was first founded. We've been working with Nokia on a number of projects. So that now that our brand is big, we have the opportunity to do even bigger promotions with them. So always foster your long-term partnerships. And on other promotions, this is a video of a promotion we did with T-Mobile in Barcelona. So T-Mobile wanted to do a campaign around Angry Birds. They had a number of these viral videos out. And they actually built like a 7-meter tall, about 30-meter wide Angry Birds set, where these big birds were fired from a pneumatic cannon, and it was a lot of fun to like watch everything come together. And this is like this campaign was planned by Saatchi and Saatchi, T-Mobile's ad agency in Europe, and everything executed by them. And this was again like a big partnership opportunity for us, because it would have been very difficult for us to like justify like pulling massive resources to put something like this together. But then again, like working with a big operator and their distribution channels and their production budgets, this was possible. And I think that it's been watched like, well, I can't remember how many millions of times, but I believe it's like the 7th most watched like viral video on the internet, or in the TV commercial category. So it was quite successful. And this is like the kind of engagement that we want to be doing with our partners, that people will share like crazy, and it will like live a life of its own. And to date, we've had a little bit over 400 million downloads of the game, and 300 million minutes of Angry Birds is played daily globally. So, of course, like that number of downloads, it's very simple, but it's a bit arbitrary, because you have all the free downloads there. You have ad-funded Android downloads. Then you have paid downloads. So of course it doesn't tell anything about the revenue and how successful it is. But it's a pretty good indicator of the reach. And of course, when it comes to engagement, 300 million minutes is pretty good. And why do we then need this engagement? And why do we need the massive audience? This was from Streaming Color, developer from North America, and they did a survey where they interviewed, or they put out a questionnaire for mobile developers and iOS developers especially. And I think over 200 developers replied, many of them just one guy and his part-time business, but also like premium studios. And the landscape on iOS hasn't really changed. So it's like the top 10% of titles are making significant revenue over their lifetime. So you can see from the graph that the median total lifetime revenue of mobile games in App Store is around $3,000. Of course, this isn't like the 100% factual truth. This is just from one survey, but the thing is that it's becoming more and more competitive in the iOS App Store all the time. For example, last year this time I remember reading a statistic that from all paid applications in the App Store, the median revenue was around $15,000. So if we're looking at games and we're looking at $3,000 over a game's lifetime, you know that you just have to be close to the top. And it doesn't mean that you have to be on the top globally, at least initially. Like when Angry Birds was released, we were pushing to make it #1 in Finland. Of course, that's a tiny market, but you want to be #1 in Finland. You want to be seen at least locally on the charts, because then you can take it further. You will know that you can be #1 somewhere else as well. And of course, like how do you keep people engaged with the application, and how do you keep it going? These are all the updates that have been provided for Angry Birds during its lifetime. So we don't consider these software updates as such. We're providing a service to our fans. So we're bringing more levels, more content, more visual themes, more characters. Like we try to keep the game fresh. And even if you can like cynically just look at that, oh, okay, they just brought more levels. But we bring a lot of details, we polish the gameplay, we bring a lot of new elements to the game all the time. And we do this across all of our apps, Angry Birds Seasons, Angry Birds Rio. And what's more, we're aiming for new markets. So trying to identify new key markets and what to do there is, of course, a big thing when you're trying to get more reach. So for example, we brought the Moon Festival update for Angry Birds Seasons. And for Angry Birds Seasons, we try to bring like these new themes, new episodes based on different like festive seasons and festivals around the world. So Moon Festival might be relevant to a lot of people, but very big in China, very important, and people know it, and people are familiar with it. So we had a pretty good reception with that in China, and that's actually right now our like biggest growth market and fastest growing geographical market. And with Moon Festival, with all of our products, we're also trying to bring like more content. So all these animations, all the stuff what we're creating like in all of our channels, we see it as creating added value to the customer. So we're expanding the storyline behind Angry Birds a bit by bit. So in the game you just see like the characters, but you don't really know anything like where are they from, who are they, what are they like. You see that the pigs have stolen the eggs and they're angry, but besides that, like what are their hopes, what are their dreams, like who are these characters? So that's what we have planned in our animation side and our book publishing and all the storytelling, that we will like keep a more richer, more engaging world. And we provided this Moon Festival comic also in China. It was distributed digitally in China Daily and via like MMS subscribers who had CMCC mobile plans. And then we also experimented briefly like delivering the comic through our game, through the iPad version of our game. So you go to the pause screen and you just see the comic there, and you can read like daily episodes. And the reception was pretty good. It gets a lot of views, a lot of nice feedback. Of course, something like this isn't for everybody, but then you get like feedback like, my kids wake me up at 5 a.m. to just daddy, let's go check out the latest comic, Angry Birds comic. So a lot of positive feedback as well. And we just accidentally happened to host it in our online store too. So we try to like steer some monetization as well. And of course, new characters. That's a big thing. Mighty Eagle, our first in-app purchase, introduced also about a year ago. With Mighty Eagle, it's not like a cheat in the game. So you get this, when you buy Mighty Eagle, you get this option to use this can of sardines, which you then fire into the levels, and then acts as a bait for the mighty eagle who comes and smashes everything to bits. But it's not only that. It's not like, oh, I'm stuck in the game, I need mighty eagle to help me. It's that. But then also there's new gameplay elements, there's new goals, new achievements that if you like play through every level with Mighty Eagle, then you unlock more stuff. And of course, other characters, it's a very big thing for us to bring new birds, because we have like a set of established characters. So we're bringing this orange guy into the game tomorrow. New bird. Anyway, we see a lot of these opportunities in all of the branches that I introduced previously. So it's about getting the reach, but also like providing a better service. And if we see like we're not anymore mobile developers. We see ourselves as an entertainment and media company. So if we see like an opportunity to experiment with print publications and drive a strategy there and get more reach, maybe get some revenue, then we go for it. And if it doesn't work, then we can try something else. But that's not like well, I'm not saying like that every developer has the opportunity to go into book publishing or go into merchandising or make a movie out of a game. But if you're not only like just creating apps, but you're also focusing on building the brand and the characters, then you may have the opportunity to go into licensing or go into pushing these sides of the business as well. Okay, so what is the weirdest place you played Angry Birds in? Anybody? While listening to me talk. I'll forgive you. It's not a sin to play it. Anyway, we got like literally thousands of replies to this question on Facebook, and some of them pretty basic, like, you know, on the go, waiting for the bus, during lunch hour, lunch break, something like that. Some of them a bit more weird, and some of them like a bit disturbing, like at a funeral. So. I don't know, but I mean it's a bit disturbing and sad. But then again, like if we can bring like a moment of joy in a time of tragedy, then why not? Okay, but we try to do a lot of things on Facebook and on Twitter online to encourage people to share and create around Angry Birds. So a lot of these like fan-made videos. All kinds of art. It's something that has like created Angry Birds into the sort of phenomena that it is today. So I guess that it has something to do with the game itself. That when it's physics-based, when it's so easy, you can like experiment different things, and you can try and see like what happens if I do this and if I do that. So then you can like really like you get these ideas of, well, I'll just build like a full-blown Angry Birds set somewhere, and and actually like this video, this fan video happened before that T-Mobile promotion. So sometimes the fans are much faster than what you can do in marketing anyway. And we also get like receive like dozens of pictures of cakes. So people bake these Angry Birds themed cakes and cupcakes and for their children for their own birthdays, and have like whole Angry Birds themed birthday parties and whatnot. And again, we don't like go and sue them. We don't say like cease and desist and stop baking immediately. But it's like something like this, when you just go and share it. I mean, people will bake anyway. So you just go and share it, and people, it's something that's so delightful and simple, and it gives like, you get a lot of positive feedback from sharing stuff like this. And here's actually, this is like the most bizarre thing, I guess, what I've seen is like this guy made a playable Angry Birds cake for his son's birthday. So I guess that his 6-year-old son was a big fan of the game, so and a big fan of cakes probably as well. So I can't imagine like where do these people get like this level of creativity where they actually come up with the idea that okay, I see Angry Birds, I see people creating games like live action games, I see people making games. I'll just create a playable cake. So I think that we might be, when we're if we're just focusing on mobile, I think that our focus is pretty much wrong. So we should also focus on cakes. The cake is not a lie. In-cake purchases. How does that work? Yeah. Well, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I guess it will involve pigs anyway. Okay. But yeah, that's like a random fan video. 6.7 million views on YouTube. So it's really organic. People just love to share it, and we also like encourage people to share. And if somebody posts, creates something really cool around Angry Birds, they're not like damaging our brand. They're not making any sort of like illegal business around it. Well, what's not to love? They're just like expressing their love towards the brand. And we also get a lot of fan art. This is not fan art. This was drawn by me. No, I'm just kidding. But people send us like these pictures, and by the way, we don't condone illegal graffiti in any way. But this is super awesome. So, don't you think it's awesome? Anyway, we see like all of this stuff happening all around the world. So what can we do with it? We're not going to sell like Angry Birds branded spray paints or anything. But again, like you can share it, and you can just let your fans know like all kinds of cool stuff is happening around Angry Birds. And sometimes I feel like this fan art it's better than what our studio pumps out. But you know, that's like you just have to show the developers their place one day. And we try to give back to the community. So this is a picture that a 5-year-old guy called Ethan sent us, or Ethan's mom actually. That Ethan drew this level that could you incorporate in the game. So our developers were feeling perhaps they had like extra time or something, but they tweaked it around a bit and put the level in the game. And they even included like Ethan's original signature as an Easter egg. So if you go high up to the sky, you can see it there. So we can't like we get quite a number of these suggestions like put this in the game and put that in the game, and of course we can't like put everything there, but sometimes we try to give a little back. And this is just the usual pitch for Facebook and Twitter, but these are like the main and easiest channels for maintaining a healthy dialogue with your fans. So of course, like in some markets you don't have this even available, or you don't have access, so you have to do things a bit differently. But it's so easy to activate people. If you can like make people aware that, you know, just integrate your like buttons and stuff in your apps, and you can make people aware that okay, that you have some channels open for them, and they'll come to your and ask you questions and ask for help and support and post and share cool stuff. And with tools like there's like several community management tools where you can easily like manage the discussion, and you can keep the discussion going and keep people sharing all the things further and further. I think that there's quite a many like new apps, and especially if you're talking about if your studio is like 1 or 2 guys and you publish a game, it would be so easy to like share like behind the scenes insight and what made you develop this game, and what's the next stuff you're coming up with, and you know, it's these are like some of the most simplest channels that you can do that sort of discussion through. And we try to also get access to new markets and new reach through these channels. So in China you don't have access to Facebook, but you have like Weibo and local alternatives. So we do like regional activities on new markets to try to establish a new fan base there as well. And so far it's working really well. We have 8.7 million page likes on Facebook, and that's without having the game available on Facebook. So that's just a fan page where we're sharing like fun content and some artwork and some added value, and of course news about the game and updates. And what's significant is like Facebook recently implemented this talking about this metric. So for over 400,000 people are talking about it, and that number is roughly similar to what the like fan pages of, well, first of all, Facebook itself, and for example, Texas Hold'em Poker have. There's more than 400,000 people talking about those two, but they have like plus 50 million page likes each. So you're looking at like the activity ratio, how many followers or page likes you have, how many people are talking about, like what's your actual reach and activity there. And our activity is still pretty high, and that's where we aim for, trying to keep the dialogue going on outside the game as well. So how do we then, if we have the fans in the game, if we try to take them in our communities, we try to reach new markets, new audiences, how do we then like go like beyond that to create something that will like get a global reach? I think our collaboration with 20th Century Fox was like a good testimonial of how the like dynamic is shifting the mobile. So big brands, big companies from different industries are looking at their mobile strategy and going for successful brands in the mobile and trying to leverage them into getting like their new products out there. So with us, like we also have an entertainment brand, so we're at the perfect crossing of this. If you look at like film industry as the traditional media, and the mobile is now the latest new focus. We can provide like this half a minute engagement every day. But then if we go and collaborate with the film industry, we can join in on like that massive promotion, like which has like that huge engagement. When you release a new feature film, you're going to market it with a $100 million budget, and then you're going to have like this one huge event where when the film is released and people are queuing up to the box office, and that's where all the focus is. But with the mobile games, any casual games, you're gonna want to have like a long-term engagement where people are buzzing about it all the time. So of course it doesn't have to be. It's like an really old like marketing analogy that if you're looking at the film release and a big ad campaign, that's the fireworks. That's like a boom and sparkles, and huge budgets, and it's quickly over. But then like the social media activities, that's more of the campfire where people are. It's much more low-key, but people stay around it for a long time. They come back to it, and then they can stay at your campfire, and then from time to time they can observe the fireworks. So it's good to aim for huge promotions and like these collaborations outside just your own domain. And for us, it's also like taking a foothold from that entertainment domain. So taking like what is seen as just the mobile game and collaborating with the film industry also like positions us there that okay, that we're in that same level where we can actually like seriously start talking about creating animated series or around the characters or creating a movie. And with the print publication, it's the same thing. That we're taking the story deeper, creating more meat around the bones, and that's a form of content where a lot of things are happening right now. A lot of publishers and the middlemen are being cut out. So authors and content providers are going into like directly into publishing themselves digitally or in print even, and you can create a lot of different content around material like this. So it's really strengthening the brand. And it can be something really simple that will work in any channel. Like consider something like this just one panel like cartoons and some funny caption contest or whatever, and that will work across regional newspapers to New Yorker magazine alike. So That's something that where you can expand again. And print. How does like creating something like a cookbook again come back to like having engagement on mobile? So, for example, where the whole idea came from is our demographics. We don't have like we do a lot of analytics and market studies, but we don't have like exact figures of how many kids actually play the game on their parents' devices, for example. But from anecdotal evidence and from all our studies, that it's not a very uncommon case that people who own smartphones, you have like the sweet spot at ages like 25 to 35, something like that. And then these people have small kids, age maybe 3 to 6 years old, something like that, and they spend a lot of time together playing the game. Like kids play the game on their parents' devices, or even like grandparents play the game with their grandchildren. So where do these families connect? We thought that it would be a fun idea that, you know, they can cook together maybe. So provide something like this, like activity book, and create again like engagement for your audience, like in the sort of same parameters as you have with the game. And then, of course, on the fireworks side, we recently collaborated with Finnair, and that's again like how much effort and are you going to put into like campaigns like this, like one time campaign where you slap a sticker on a plane, and what's like the brand, what's it worth for your brand, and what will you gain from it? You can measure stuff like that again when you try to make it viral. You can measure it in Facebook likes and page views and how much people are talking about it. But then again, like, it doesn't always have to be that measurable. We can safely say that this was a flight from Helsinki to Singapore, and that must be like the most popular plane in Singapore. So why do we do this? Why do we engage in that dialogue, and why do we promote through our channels is of course about building a big business. For example, if we like making videos to engage our fans on YouTube and to have them share more Angry Birds branded material, we're also like building a channel. So it's something where further down the line we can create more video content, like an animated series, and we can have that content available for purchase somewhere. I don't know if we're going to have any optical media in 5-10 years time, but you can probably buy Angry Birds animations on DVD, Blu-ray sometime in the future. So everything is while it's building engagement, while it's building a reach, you're also building a business. But then again, at the same time, the community is never about the money. It's always about the fans. And for example, we had a really like heartbreaking bit of feedback the other week where this person was saying that they had introduced their mother, who had been suffering from cancer, to Angry Birds, and it had been like the first time in years that their mother had actually been like really genuinely laughing and having fun. And they said like that, thanks again for providing such a great, simple and fun way to simply laugh. And that's one thing that you really, like, you're always thinking about monetization, thinking about engagement, and you can, it's so easy to move like further away from why did you develop the game in the first place? Well, to have like the most fun, most engaging game in the world. And I think that's where we come from, and that's why we made Angry Birds, and that's why we try to keep preaching for it, because we loved creating it, and seeing like our fans love it alike and express their love for it, that's like the best reward. That's better than any business. And that's pretty much everything I had today. And do we still have time? Yeah, we can discuss engagement. Anything you have, please.
Thank you very much. We'll open the floor for some questions now.
Where Thanks. Hi. I have a question. When you said that it's great to release more updates, what do you mean when you said updates? This is the update to the initial version, or you release these updates as a new titles actually?
Oh, the updates that I was talking about. That was like the one game. So when Angry Birds was released, it had if I remember correctly, it had like 63 levels. Nowadays it has more than 250. And all of this has been done in like 15 to 45 level pack increments. And it's free. It's not an in-app purchase. So that's like we defined that our basic level of service has to be that there's always something new coming for the fan, that you want to come back to the game because there's always going to be more content and more stuff for you. Yeah. That's up to you. We decided why we created Angry Birds Seasons. We figured that we have a global audience. Not everybody in the world celebrates Christmas, for example. So if we create a separate application that's just about fun, just about like different holidays, we don't have to consider like, well, of course we have to consider cultural sensibilities and so forth. But we create it for the fans. So if people love Angry Birds, they get more Angry Birds content, be it Moon Festival, be it St. Patrick's Day, whatever. But that was our reasoning, that we have like the core title that's just arbitrary. That's just going to be like fun Angry Birds themes. And then we have the seasons for the like true fans who just want more content. Thanks.
Hi. I wanted to ask a question. If you're reaching for the biggest audience, like you said, you're trying to reach everywhere, why didn't you port your game into Facebook or some social networks, whatever?
I think that the focus was so much in the mobile at the first phase. So our strategy was to be big in mobile. And we wanted to be on every mobile platform, but since we have expanded it to just wanting to be on all screens everywhere. So we have something in development for social networks, but we want to again, we want to polish it. We want it to be like the perfect social game and the best social game ever. So in mobile, we did aim early on to have the game available on as many platforms as possible. So then the social platform, I mean, we're only getting started in building the game for web, building a game for consoles, for example, and then social platforms is logical continuation from that. Yes. Yeah.
The success of the Angry Birds is incredible in the App Store. Okay, the success of the Angry Birds is incredible in the App Store. As I remember, the first round was in App Store, yeah?
Yeah.
There is many great games like Cut the Rope, Teeny Wings, and others. Any suggestions for the newbies? What is the best way to run our own game in App Store?
That's a very good question. Like I said about you need the visibility. And you know App Store. When you open it up, you have the featured titles, then you have the top charts, and then like anything that's like below top 20, you're not basically gonna scroll there. So how do you get your game featured? For us, I think I mentioned it briefly already, but for us, like we released the game through a publisher, but we were just another independent developer at the time. So we released the game through Chilingo. Chilingo had like a steady string of top 10 titles in the App Store at the time. So it made sense to go there. Okay, so that got us some visibility, but Angry Birds didn't like take off just overnight. So we were really pushing for this grassroots buzz in the local markets. And we were just going by word of mouth in Finland. Phoned up all our friends and said that we have a new game out, and then we were #1 in Finland. And then we went to Sweden and said that look at this game, it's #1 in Finland. That it's really nice. And then we were #1 in Sweden, and then Denmark and Greece and Germany and wherever. So about the time in February 2010, it had been like two and a half months from the initial release of the game. We had about 5-7 #1 ranks in Europe. And then we still like pushed it to Apple, like look at this game, that it's getting some traction and it's been successful in a number of countries. And then it was featured in the UK App Store, and then the UK was a bigger market compared to other European countries. And then started to sell in the UK, went #1 there because it was featured, and then it went #1 in the US, but then like all of this, like how we provide the service, what we do around the game, that has all added up into the stickiness. So, of course, like there's a lot of games that go to #1, but they also sink down. So you have to consider like how do you keep it there, like how do you provide the service, how do you keep people coming back to it, how do you keep people talking about it. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. When you told like the fact when your game became popular in Finland after talking to your friends, I remember the famous Russian joke, I think, when a guy is asked how did he become a millionaire, he said, I would wash 10 apples and sell them clean for extra, and the next day 20 apples, and the third day my uncle died and left me 10 million. But what I wanted to ask you is, obviously, you guys are great in building up the business, and you are great in packaging such an awesome product as Angry Birds. What is your feeling? Do you think that Rovio also has now an insight to what a second Angry Birds can be? Do you feel any confidence that you can build a brand that's similar to it, or is your strategy to just tie in other brands with Angry Birds, and we see like Batman and Angry Birds and so forth? And so it's just a question because I do see it as a perfect black swan and a very highly improbable event that changes the course of the business. So I do not, personally, I don't believe that black swan is repeatable per se, but I just wanted to understand what is your opinion, how well do you feel your audience? Do you feel that these kids, grandmas, and millions of people are there and will be there for a second game or a second title of Rovio, which is not Angry Birds? And so that's it. The commitment, how is it, I would say, independent from the main brand, and how Rovio feels about it. Thank you.
Thanks for your question. I think that there's a lot of room, like for us as a company. Like as an entertainment company, there's a lot of room for like parallel brands. So with Angry Birds, I don't think we'd like want to create something to top Angry Birds. We want to keep on expanding and building Angry Birds. And of course, like in mobile games are successful now because people have less and less, like people have precious little time. So they can engage with your game, your apps for 30 seconds at a time, or 2 minutes, or then 2 hours if they have more. But like, how do we, like, we start to cannibalize our own, if we're keeping people engaged in mobile on some brand, and then we can't build as successful brands as that, of course, because people will start spending their time with those, then your other brands will become irrelevant. But I think that we know the Angry Birds audience, and we have a really good feel like what are their expectations and wants and needs, and what do we bring more under the Angry Birds brand and that umbrella. But then we we're building other properties as well, and I think like it's not gonna be badged as something with Angry Birds. But of course, like now we have the reach and the audience, we can bring out more games like from the makers of Angry Birds, and that's probably going to be interesting. It's not going to be all targeted to the same overall audience. Now we can have like smaller titles sitting next to Angry Birds. I don't know if this satisfies your question, but yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so you said you released the game via the publisher's channels, right? So now that Angry Birds is kind of big, what's your relation to that publisher and IP rights and all the policies that you have?
We released it on with the publisher on iOS, And then when we had success on iOS, we had the opportunity to self-publish on Android, for example. And then the subsequent titles, we only had a publishing deal with the one title, not the property. So with Angry Birds Seasons, Angry Birds Rio, then there are different stories, and they have been published by Rovio. So now we also have the opportunity as a successful self-publisher to look at other independent developers and publishing their titles as well.
Спасибо. Извините, я плохо говорю по-английски. У меня такой вопрос. Вот у вас висит прекрасная игрушка на шее. И я хотела бы спросить, вы не пытались популяризировать вашу игру именно с помощью детских игрушек, киндер-сюрпризов, там, брелоков каких-то вот таких визуальных вещей, которые можно взять в руку, попробовать, пощупать? И не боитесь ли вы, что какие-то другие компании перехватят ваш бренд?
Okay, so the question was that are we afraid? Have we made like brand collaborations and are we afraid that other people will capitalize on our brand? I think that what we're looking at in our collaborations, like in the Angry Birds Rio tie-in, and then like any products that we're doing, we're looking at whether it makes sense. Like, is there really sense in like having Angry Birds everything on shelves at the stores? Probably not. But wherever like we can have like a quality product and a quality brand match, if it makes sense for our fans as well, then that's good enough for us. Then we, at the moment, I think that we're one of the most pirated brands in China, for example. So there's a lot of just illegal, unlicensed merchandise around. That's then something that we have to like tackle through our legal departments and so on. But I don't think that at the moment we're like selling ourselves short. We're trying to build like quality collaborations for long-lasting collaboration.
So I think that's all the time we have.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ville.